At the wheel of death. All right, there we go. We're live. We're going to go with the most Islamophobic intro ever. Kufar Akbar, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Crescent Discussion Group. We are here live every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio and the Global Patriot Radio Network. And we're also here on Tuesday evenings at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, again on the Blog Talk Radio Network. But we're also live streaming here on YouTube and also from our Facebook account on the Crossing the Crescent Facebook page and over on... Actually, I'm putting up on Twitter these days to see how much interest that generates. I've gone and looked. It doesn't look like we're getting too many views. But it's just because, I don't get a lot of traffic over there, and I'm not very purposeful about it. I guess if you want to generate traffic, you got to be purposeful and have to stay on it and try to get people to come. But I appreciate you guys coming today. I'm not sure how long we're going to go today because I got something that I had last year. I got me another case of COVID. I've been in bed pretty much for the past 24 hours, and whatever this is not the COVID of 2019 and 2020. This is the new COVID, and this one it hurts. It really does. But this morning I did wake up, and because I didn't plan on doing a show today. I thought, what the heck with it, I'm not going to do it. But then I realized that I was feeling a little bit better, had a little bit more strength, a little more energy. So I thought that I would give it a shot today because of what happened last night. And I'm not talking about that abject humiliation that our friend David Wood gave to the imam out of Texas, which was, and I was, I know you guys did a show on that, and Chris Claus, if you guys are interested, is going to be doing a live stream on it later this evening.
Excellent.
At I think he said 7 Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'd have to relook that. But I mean, you guys did a live stream on it last night and commentary. Let me just tell you what it was, just from what I looked at. It was like a college professor having a discussion with a third grader, is what it looked like. It was embarrassing, and when you debate, especially if you're going to debate a topic like that, you would hope that you would have facts on your side. And what I mean by facts is things that you could easily show people. And this is what David did. Of course, he cited all kinds, several sources that Aisha was 9, when Muhammad was 54, when he raped her or consummated the marriage. And he backed it up with facts, with the hadith, and then also the Quran 65:4. He also, and this is what I thought was priceless, because Rad had sent him that video clip that he had done when he was criticizing our sister Connie I think it was last summer sometime, where he said that, it's perverted for a man who's 50 years old to have any type of desires whatsoever for a girl that young. And so he read this quote and he said, that's the expert over there that said it's perverted for a man that old to do something like this. So it was a complete humiliation. So if you guys want to sit there and rehash what it did, and this is why let's just be perfectly honest, why the imam did this is because if he wants to continue to debate and grow his channel, and there's nothing wrong with it. I guess I can't fault him for it. But this was the one that he had to take for the team. He had to suffer the abject humiliation of debating Dr. David Wood, and now he can be a popular guy or whatever and get invited all over the place. So I debated Dr. Wood. Well, you got destroyed. So what are you going to do now? All right. So what we're going to talk about today, though, is we're going to talk about what happened last night. Last night in a little town of how many people? 27,489 people in Colleyville, Texas. An Islamic man, somebody who follows the Sunnah of Muhammad from Pakistan, whose sister evidently has been hemmed up by our military and is now serving an 86-year jail term for planning and carrying out attacks on U.S. service members in Afghanistan. He took over a synagogue in Colleyville and took 3 hostages. I think there were 3, maybe 4 hostages, and demanded that his sister be released from prison. Now, there's a couple things that I wanted to point out about this, and this is the reason for the topic of today's show. Let me pull this back up here because I want to make sure I don't mess this up. There we go. This is Islamic-inspired Jew hatred is what this is. Now, I went in this morning and I looked to see how many churches were in Colleyville, and there were a total of 28 churches that are registered for a town with the size of 27,000. And there's actually one mosque there that has a pretty decent looking YouTube page and presence on social media. So why wouldn't he target a church? Why a synagogue? So this question is what we're going to be looking at today. And I think the answer is pretty obvious of why he would attack a church as opposed to a synagogue. I went in and I looked. Oops, this isn't what I wanted to bring up. There we go. I wanted to show. No, I'm not going to show that because that's kind of violent. It showed him the FBI's HRT. If you don't know what the hostage rescue team is from the FBI, this is a bunch of pretty high-speed guys, kind of like you would say SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, Special Forces, but with a lot more funding and a little bit more training and experience. These guys are the premier deal for our country. So when they go in and go knocking on your door, it's not going to end well for you. And of course, it didn't end well for this guy. So despite the demands during the negotiation process, he did release one hostage, a man, kept the other 2 hostages, or 3. They were all female, and a rabbi. He kept the rabbi too, if I'm not mistaken. And then HRT went in and they did their thing. The video shows or you can hear the gunfight. You can hear some flashbangs going off to disorient him, and the rest is what we call history. But the bottom line is that he didn't select a synagogue because he loves Jews. That's not why he selected a synagogue. He selected a synagogue because he was taught to hate Jews. He was taught to hate Jews by his family. Now, I have a video here from Prager University that I want to show that shows you the roots of this. The inherent is, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's taught to the children. And when you teach something to your children at such a young age, they grow up with this on their mind, and they grow up acting out on these type of things. So what I want to do is I just want to show where you have a convert from, or not a convert, you have an immigrant from Pakistan discussing why he hates Jews. And this pretty much does it in 4 minutes. Here we go.
I was born to hate Jews. It was part of my life. I never questioned it. I was not born in Iran or Syria. I was born in England. My parents moved there from Pakistan. Theirs was the typical immigrant story. Moved to the West in the hope of making a better life for themselves and their children. We were a devout Muslim family, but not extremist or radical in any way. We only wished the best for everyone. Everyone except the Jews. The Jews we believed were aliens living in stolen Muslim land, occupiers who were engaged in a genocide against the Palestinian people. Our hatred, therefore, was justified and righteous, and it made...
Okay, I want to talk about that just for a second. Can you guys hear the sound? Is the sound on that okay? Can you hear the sound on that?
Yes.
Okay. There's no echo?
Yes, I heard it. There's no echo.
Okay. All right, good. Yeah, because now notice he said he ties it back to the Palestinian issue. And so when we look at the Palestinian issue and how how they're tied, their struggle, quote unquote, to gain autonomy in their own country, quote unquote. I use these terms because they're just the normal parlance that we use when we're talking about this. But he ties it back to, so they have a common hatred or a common reason to hate the Jews. Now, forget the fact that it is indeed, it is justified by the things that Muhammad said and did in the Quran, but it's also carried through even today. So when you have the Palestinians, who is supposed to be a group that have been persecuted at the hands of the Jews, so you have this common hatred for the people who are doing the persecuting. So this is why you have such a, I don't want to say it's a universal support among Muslims for Hamas, which is a designated terrorist group, but you have a large percentage of the Muslim population that has a support for Hamas, namely that terrorist sponsoring organization, the Council on American Islamic Relations. So let me go ahead and replay this, or continue to play this.
Made me and my friends vulnerable to the arguments of radical extremists. If the Jews were as evil as we had always believed, mustn't those who support them, Christians, Americans, and others in the West, be just as evil? Beginning in the 1990s, speakers and teachers at mosques and in schools began to endlessly repeat this theme. We were not Western, we were not British, we were Muslims, first and only. Our loyalty was to our religion and to our fellow Muslims. We owed nothing to the Western nations that welcomed us. As Westerners, they were our enemies. All of this had its desired effect. At least, it did on me.
Okay, so here you have him saying that as children, they are teaching their kids how to hate Jews. If you want some evidence of that, let's go ahead and take a look. Here we go. This is in Bangladesh. Oh, I'm sorry, this is not in Bangladesh. This is in Saudi Arabia. It's a synagogue, or no, it's a mosque. No, there's not a synagogue in Saudi Arabia. That's silly to say. This is a mosque in Saudi Arabia, or no, I'm sorry. This is a mosque in East. No, this is a mosque in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Oh, geez.
Mosque, Philly.
I think it's frozen.
واللي ربي بالظل والسكينة وجوده واللي ما يرضى البحر بيفقد وجوده ويرد الظل عن أرض العرب.
Okay, so I'm sitting there looking at this thing, and I'm watching these little kids sing joyous songs to destroying Jews and that. And I'm thinking, this is akin to a Christmas play. In our churches during Christmas, we have the kids, they dress up in their little outfits and they give a portrayal of the nativity and all this. That's not what they're doing. These guys are training their kids to hate the Jews and then training them. What was the word they used there? What is the word?
Humiliate.
This is rebels.
Humiliate.
Yeah, kill, humiliate. What is it?
Well, they're training them to kill them. I mean, they're walking around with little guns.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you think of this, it isn't just happening overseas. This is stuff that's happening right here in the United States.
That was
today.
actually the Muslim American Society, which is
Okay,
well known as the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, that needs to be shut down. That no.
Still operating somehow
What, shut
legally.
down the mosque?
Well, the mosque is
down?
one piece, but the sponsor is the Muslim American Society.
Okay, I'm trying to find this other video that I had here. Kids at Philly.
No, they need to be
Philadelphia
designated as a
mosque.
terrorist organization.
Yeah, and I would say no to that, just because of the current definitions of terrorism won't allow for it. And I say you just recognize that they have declared war on the United States.
That would be good too. I'd be all right with that.
And that's why if you go to paulsutliff.blogspot.com, you look for the keyword resolution. I have proposed this resolution 2 years. I can't find a non-cowardly congressman.
Okay, if you had any question on, is this something that is just okay? This maybe just an isolated incident in 2019. No, look at here. This is the same place in 2017, doing the same exact crap. Hold on. Why the sound's not coming through? It doesn't matter.
Well,
okay, with my blood, look at this. I am a cannon shell. The shield of my revolution shines. All the little, I mean, if you look at the kids there, look at this poor kid right here. I mean, they're sitting there clapping along like it's all okay.
Can't
They
see.
talk about the glories of. I'm sorry, I took it off there. You're right.
Yeah, what kid?
Acting
What
like
kid?
they're the kid right here. Yeah, just right here, just playing along like it's all okay. Even got the graduates there in the back.
You can't
with
see
their
the little
little
dot.
hats on. You can't see what?
We can't see your little dot saying this kid.
Well,
Your
can you
little
see
pointer.
my mouse or no? Okay. Well, all right. I can't. I don't know how to point that out here. I don't have that ability. But if you look at the kids
But
back
they're on
there,
the stage.
in the
there.
left
They're on
hand
the stage.
side, far left hand side, there's a kid in red. Well, the kids in both right and left hand side, they're in red. They're in graduation outfits, and then you got little kids sitting on the stage, and in the front, I mean, this is some type of celebration. They're celebrating what? They're celebrating the destruction, the killing of other people.
Yeah.
This is Jew hatred. This is teaching your kids to hate.
To be jihadi, to blow themselves up. I'm a shield. With my blood, I'll do this. That means I'm going to die. I'm going to kill them and be killed. 9111.
I think one thing we need to understand is that Palestinians have suffered greatly, and there's a lot of tragedy, and it's a complex situation. The Palestine-Israel situation is complex and it's nuanced. But the thing is, just blaming Jewish people isn't going to bring any solution. And it has a lot to do with British imperialism at that time. Same with Pakistan and India. There's a lot of complexity about this, but it's just tragic that it's just like this whole obsession with land. If you believe in God, this is my opinion, I could be wrong, but taking a spiritual perspective on this, God owns the land. You don't own anything. If God decides to give you that land, that's it. You need to trust what God says and stop worrying about what your power is, because God has the power, you don't have the power. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, and Allah said that he decrees that the land be for the Jews, be for Israel. So they're going against their own Quran.
Yes,
Well,
so
I
if
think it was on
Allah
Tuesday's
is great,
show.
if Allah is great, if Allah is everything, then and He has put the Jews in charge of the land, then what's their problem?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they saying that Allah
Israel.
is weak and
So they're going against their own Quran.
Exactly. The Jews are in charge of the land now. Allah is all powerful, and Allah has ensured that the Jews have control over the land. Why are they fighting the Jews over something that Allah has given them and they have total control over? What's the point? It just doesn't make sense. The only conclusion I can come to is one, they simply just hate the Jews, and two, Islam is really a political force trying to take the land from someone else. That's it. So the entire region, remember that entire region is surrounded by Islam, Muslim countries.
Well,
And
also
they're just
number
upset
three.
they're just upset that one small piece of land is not under the control of Muslims.
And number three, they disagree with the decision of Allah. They disagree with Allah's decision.
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, they say that
How's
that
that?
land doesn't belong to the Jews, and Allah gave them the land.
Yes,
I mean,
it's in
it's
the
pretty
Quran.
cut and dry.
It's in the
And they're going
Quran.
against
When
what
was
Allah
when
has
was that?
decreed.
Jerusalem's not mentioned in the
They're
Quran not
in the
one time.
fight. No, but the Holy Land is. The Holy Land is. So the Holy Land is the Holy Land.
Where?
Period.
Where's the Holy Land mentioned in the Quran? Excuse me.
Let me
Where's
see,
the Holy Land
Quran
mentioned in the Quran?
1090. What is it? 1090.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, you're just gonna have to hold on just a second. Ed. Yeah, you're just gonna have to comment. I can't figure out how to get in there and get you unblocked. I don't know who's blocking you, but I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to comment as they. I don't have the energy to get over.
Well, that says something. He's got numerous accounts.
But I know I do know that Jerusalem is, as a word, is not mentioned. The only time that it's mentioned is it's called the farthest mosque. And we've had John Isaac on this show where he's talked about Alaska being supposedly being the farthest mosque, and he's even pointed out that that's simply not true. He said that the farthest Alaska is a mosque that's within like a Mecca itself. So to say that Alaska is the farthest mosque is absolutely
Quran,
ridiculous.
1093.
What does it say?
It says, and we, this is Pickthall, and we verily did allot unto the children of Israel a fixed abode, and did provide them with good things, and they differed not until the knowledge came unto them. Lo, thy Lord will judge between them and on the day of resurrection concerning that wherein they used to differ. So yeah, there you have it. 1093.
That's what? That does what now? But what does that say? What are you saying that says?
Okay, it says.
I didn't follow your train of thought on that, Ed.
Well, all right. Let me give you Sahih International. Maybe this will be a little clearer.
I have both up on the screen, and we certainly settled the children of Israel in agreeable settlement, and provided them with good things, and they did not differ until after knowledge had come to them. Indeed, your Lord will judge between them on the day of resurrection concerning that over which they used to differ.
Okay, so there you have it. Where have they
Allah
been?
gave them the land. Why are they complaining?
Hold on. Stop. I have what? I don't understand.
The settlement.
I'm trying to figure out how this you're okay. How does this guarantee Muslims Jerusalem? I don't understand that. Am I missing something here?
Okay, what other land would
Thank
it
you.
be talking about?
21 and
But
521
it
says
doesn't
the
doesn't
Holy
it doesn't mention it doesn't mention Muslims here. We
Okay,
verily did a lot unto the
children,
children of Israel.
children
A
of
fixed abode.
Israel, children of
Okay,
Israel. I
that's
mean, that's
Jews.
pretty bam. Children of Israel. Okay,
Okay, so
so
it's
who lives in
guaranteeing the children
Israel?
of Israel the Holy Land. That's okay. Ed, maybe you and I are talking past each other. You're saying the Quran guarantees the Holy Land to the Jews.
Yep.
Yeah,
This
that's
Cer-
passage
exactly what I'm
Certainly
saying.
guarantees the
settled
Holy Land to the Jews.
in an
Okay,
agreeable
all right,
covenant.
all right, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not on top of my game today. I thought you said that this verse guarantees the Muslims the Holy Land, and I'm thinking, what in the heck is this guy talking? Maybe he's got COVID and his brain's all mush today.
No,
But
the Jews,
evidently,
the
it's
Jews.
Jews.
all
And
right.
520
Okay, it's the
says Holy
Jews.
Land.
All right, no wonder. Okay, I can't take this call. Yeah, you're gonna have to. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to comment in there.
And
Okay.
if he's being blocked,
All right. So where
that's
were
the
we on all
moderator.
of this? We were talking about. All right.
So
So
that's,
he's not blocked. He can comment in. Can anyone see the link in my Skype? I don't. Oh my gosh! All right. Let
He
me
is
see here.
blocked. Remember,
stay on your
his
game, Chris.
comments have been blocked. And I kind of get as to why, especially considering what he said about us as being less than human. But yeah.
My question is,
Moderators,
that's
like
just,
Chris, I trust the moderators.
is it
that's
is it
well,
a religious obligation? Is it a religious obligation of the Muslims to hate Jews? Are they, for them to be a good Muslim, do they have to hate Jews? I.e., good Muslim equal anti-Semite, as we have here. Somebody has their name of Islam equal anti-Semite. I'm asking a question.
Oh, the question is are Muslims obligated to hate the Jews?
Yes.
Well, that's a valid question. I mean, well, did Muhammad hate the Jews?
Oh yeah, I will expel the Christians and the Jews out of the Arabia Peninsula.
Yeah.
Hatred.
It's even kind of prophetic in our Bible, right?
Yeah. Okay. Here. Okay. How many times I have to say, yeah. God called you the worst of creation. We're not blaming you, man. And I'm not blaming you for calling us. I'm not. Yeah. We're not blaming you for that.
That makes no sense. Why would God call God's creation the worst of creation?
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying. You know, he kind of
sense
made us in his image, and
Well, that's Quran. We don't expect it to make sense.
I can't.
If you
I can't find the word.
Makes sense.
I can't find the word Muslim anywhere in the gospel that the Quran confirms. Yeah. So, seems like you're just making little claims that go against your own book, there, bro.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm still haven't found the word prophet in the Quran, where Muhammad's called a prophet. I haven't found that either. But.
What do you mean by that, Paul? The word.
I don't. We're going through. Dr. Kafirphobia and I are, and what do are going through a series of going through the Quran, and we have yet to find anything that. I mean, it says there are that messengers and prophets are two different things. They are not the same thing. They can't be the same
Nabi
person.
And Rasul. Nabi and Rasul. They're different. Yeah, the Nabi is the prophet, the Rasul is the messenger.
Yeah, you can't be both. So, you know, the people who follow Islam and don't understand that call their prophet, call Muhammad a prophet, and they also call him the messenger. But he can't be a prophet if he's a messenger, and he can't be a messenger if he's a prophet. So that's the definite. So it's you know, this is what the Quran says, but then, you know, it's going to be abrogated by some person, someplace imaginary. But yeah.
So in my thinking, and if anyone disagrees with me, let me know. The only explanation I can think of is that Muhammad was a cult leader the Jews, who were very educated people.
I
at
can
least
barely
early-
hear him.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me well?
I can hear you, George. I'm gonna buy you a microphone, dude.
I have a great microphone. It's a great microphone. It's brand new. I don't know what the problem is.
Okay, there it sounds
Maybe you need to
better
be
now
closer
that you're
to it.
talking.
Sounds better.
Yeah, you're sounding better, sir.
Okay, so the only explanation I can think of, and if someone wants to contradict me or put some additional information, you're welcome. The only explanation that fits what we're seeing is that Muhammad was a cult leader, and the Jews, who were educated people, at least their leaders knew their book, rejected Muhammad, rejected his claims to be whatever he wanted to be, claimed to be, and because of that, whoever wrote the Quran simply wrote those words against the Jews. So it's not that the Jews were bad people, they just rejected Muhammad. And they knew their scriptures enough to recognize that this guy and their teachings were fraudulent.
Yes.
And that's why we see so much hate against them in their scriptures.
Yeah, Satan wrote the book. We all know that.
Yes.
Okay, here's what we were doing last week. Let me put this back up here. We were looking at why religion, or not religion, my goodness, why Islam is not a religion of peace. And when we were talking about it, we talked about the number of attacks that were conducted. This is last Tuesday. This is as of last Tuesday. And if you look here, it's gone from 26 to 61. So what is that, 35 in just 5 days? So when we look at the number of attacks alone, that clearly demonstrates that it's not a religion of peace. Now this one right here, when we talked about fighting until they testify there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, and he says this 9 times during his life, and he ordered, look at this, 65 military campaigns. And this slide right here outlines some of the most hate-filled admonitions of the, this, what would you call him? The standard of conduct for all mankind, the seal of all prophets or whatever. So fight them until there's no more fitna. Fight those who do not believe until they all surrender, paying the jizya. 9:5 was cited earlier. Fight them, disbelievers, where you find them. Take them captive, lie in wait, ambush them. These are all. I mean, if you look at 9:5, 9:5 is in reliance of the traveler. That's a source verse for giving them permission to commit violence in the name of Islam itself. So when we, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to bounce back over here. Sorry about that. So you can see clear admonitions and clear cries for violence against Christians and Jews. And if you look in 98:6, where it says that we're the worst of creatures, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Let me see. I had it right here. Where did it go?
Yeah, notice Yahya agrees with that, right?
What did he say? Yeah, he agrees. Of course, he's got to agree with it because that's what it says. It says it in the Quran. I mean, he's got to agree with it because that's what his God told us that we are.
And they believe it. They're mu'min. They're the real mu'min.
Let's see here. Surely the unbelievers of the people of the book and idolaters will abide in the fire of hell. They are the worst of creatures. So that's the people of the book. Or which book is he talking about? Is he talking about Dr. Seuss?
Well, it can't be. I mean,
Scriptures, which he calls my verses. So, he's contradicting his own self. So he gave the Christians and the Jews a book, which he calls my verses. And then he says, now go out and katalu, fight to kill them.
Hey, Yahya, ISIS are the best of Muslims, right?
Of course.
Okay.
They're obeying Allah.
No,
and I'd like to ask you.
They're obeying the God Muhammad. They're obeying the God Muhammad, not Allah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I thought
All
Allah
right.
obeyed
Puppet
Muhammad.
master.
All right, Paul
Allah
had
is
something that he was
puppet master.
going to present. Do you have it? Hold on. Let's see. Remind me. Sorry, can't take that. Paul, were you gonna?
Okay, let me pull one up.
You're gonna share your screen.
Yep. I just got to pull it up. Make sure I'm on the right screen. Sorry. Okay. Yep. Sorry. Here we go.
Okay. There we go.
Okay. This comes from Jewish News Syndicate, and let's look at the dates for this. Sorry, by James Skinson. It's time to expose Muslim anti-Semitism. It says if we're going to truly combat anti-Semitism, it behooves us to publicize and analyze the roots of anti-Semitism in Islam. This came out the 21st of June this year. He writes, with anti-Semitism record highs in the United States and around the world, many prefer to focus purely on right-wing and neo-Nazi Jew hatred, rather than on the larger problem, hatred of Jews and Jewish state in the Arab and Muslim world, home to a population of hundreds of millions. Unfortunately for the truth, the intersectionalist left is quick to oppose the factual evidence of widespread Muslim anti-Semitism using accusations of Islamophobia. Indeed, many on the left dismiss racism on the part of oppressed people of color as an impossibility, a philosophical contradiction. Yet the increase in anti-Semitic attacks against Jews worldwide, especially those associated with attacks against Israel and its supporters, is disproportionately driven by what? Muslims. Hate crimes against the followers of Muhammad, is what we probably should say. Hate crimes against Jews in the United States spiked to 222 during this 2 weeks of fighting in May between Hamas and Israel, compared with 127 the previous 2 weeks. This increase has been uniformly attributed to pro-Palestinian supporters. Gee, who could that be? Could it be CARE? ISNA? Oh, we can keep going there.
What is Palestine? Does anybody know what Palestine is?
I'm still trying to find it on a map. I mean, a map that isn't made by Muslims. You can find one. I mean, maybe Code Pink has that, but again,
Rashida Tlaib has one in her office.
Well, I think it's interesting that the name is Palestine. Why not Al-Quds or something like that, like the holy place? Why use the name of Emperor Hadrian? Emperor Hadrian called it the province of Palestina.
Well, it's even more funny when you look into the history of who the Palestinians were. Palestinians are Greeks. They are not Arabs.
Well, they're probably a mixture of a bunch of stuff.
By the Egyptian pharaoh.
They're Greeks, Egyptians, Iranians, all kinds of people.
No. I'm sorry. They were from Crete. That's what the Bible says, and it is what an article recently published has just verified. There was just some research completed on it that said that the Palestinians were the Philistines were people who were resettled by the Egyptian pharaoh after they lost a horrible battle. And he settled them. That's why they're called the Sea People.
But I think like modern day Palestinians, we have to think about Ottoman Empire. We have to think about all the influx of the Muslim caliphate.
I'm just going on their claim of that name. I'm not going on the new ones. They're claiming they have a historical record there. But the historical record is that Greeks are the Palestinians, not Arabs.
And I mean, what is even an Arab? It's a hodgepodge of multiple ethnicities. Like in the Tanakh or the Hebrew scriptures, we see that there are different kinds of people. You have Moabites, you have Amalekites, you have these different.
I'm just picking up people from. I'm just picking on people from Saudi Arabia at this point when I'm saying that.
No, I hear you. I
Greeks
just think
are Greeks. They're not Palestinians. They're Greeks.
But I think the modern day Palestinians are a mixture of many different ethnicities. And I think that needs to be understood. So if they want to make the argument about indigenous land, well, you can make the argument no one is indigenous to the land. Yeah. They could make that argument. But to say that they are indigenous, you can't argue that. Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab came and took over he took over the territory. Because how did Islam get there? Islam got there from imperialism. Let's
Guys,
be transparent. Let's be honest.
Guys, let me just address something that's going on in here in chat. Nim, we discussed the attack last night. I'm sorry, sister, but we did that already. And you're right. The guy was a not Palestinian. You guys got me thinking Palestine. He was a Pakistani. He wasn't a convert. All right, guys, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's all I was saying, is that we have to be accepting. And if you want to call out imperialism, then we must call out imperialism holistically speaking. If you want to say Jews are imperialists to the land through British imperialism, if that's the argument you want to make, then you need to call out the Islamic imperialism. And that's the problem in this dialogue. It is not
absolutely correct.
honest. It is not transparent. It is not true. And that's what bothers me when we're in this discussion. Like, these people came and took over the land and it's so bad. And I'm like, well, but it's our land. And I'm like, how does the land belong to you? What made you have the land? Well, there was bloodshed that brought you into the land. There was imperialism that brought you into the land. Be honest about it. Own it.
Notice that there wasn't really any kind of an issue about that land until the 20th century.
Yeah.
And that's when, and that was at during World War One, right?
Yes.
And then the Balfour Declaration happened, right?
Yes, exactly.
Other than that, in any historical books before that, show me the word Palestine. You're not going to find it. I've done the research on this, and it doesn't exist. Period.
So I have another article. If you can give me a chance to show.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, if you look at the end of I'm sorry, Paul. I was just going to say, if you look at the end of World War One, and the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire and the breaking up of all the provinces that it controlled, this is where to the spoils go the victors. This is where the British, the French, and all the other yahoos were down there stepping in and ruling these lands and dividing them up. They gave them as much as autonomy as possible. And of course, the Balfour Declaration was that declaration saying that the Jews were going to get back their homeland. But the process of that was fought every step of the way by every single Muslim in the land. They did not want the Jews returning to their homeland, period. And then when they did, it just sent the entire Islamic world into a tizzy. Like, they just don't know how to control themselves when they start thinking about that, having, oh my goodness, Jews praying next to the Temple Mount, praying right next to Al-Alask. It's just the hatred, the visceral hatred for that. All right. Sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
If you can share my page, let me share it.
No,
right.
I'm bringing it back up.
Okay. So just to clarify, this is a statement that the worst thing a Muslim can call call another Muslim is a Jew. All right. That's the worst insult they can say. So here we have the Iranian general calling the Saudi royal family descendants of Jews who fought Muhammad. Well, I'm just going to read the article again. What's funny is this is in MSN today. It's liberal. It's in the liberal news outlets, and it's by the Jerusalem Post. And it came out yesterday. The commander of the Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy said on January 7th, the ruling royal family of Saudi Arabia were actually Jewish, and that their conflict with Iran harkens back to the 7th century battles between Muslims and Jewish tribes. Really, 7th century? Are you sure about that date? I mean, I'm going to sit there and question them on that chosen date, because when we talk about Persia, Iran didn't exist back then. It was Persia, and 7th century battle between Muslims and Jews. The Jews were not in that. Yeah,
and the Persians were Zoroastrian. They wouldn't have been Muslim at that time. They would have been Zoroastrian.
Yes, and that's the real truth there. They would not have been. There were Christians in that area. There were Jews in that. There were Zoroastrians in that area. There were no Muslims in that area until it was conquered. So, yeah. And then this concept of what they believe versus the Shiites versus the Sunni, that still comes much later. But, yeah,
well, this is what they do all the time. It's revisionist history. Just lie. Just make up another history that makes Islam look good.
So this is just another proof that this hatred of Jews. This is the worst insult they could give, and that to me says a lot. I have another one here from I cannot pronounce this, bz.berlin.de, and this is the English translation through translate.google, and I just got to hit translate again. Sorry, let me hit refresh.
People watching the video, share, like, subscribe, please. Just saying.
Hit the bell.
Yeah.
I'm getting pretty good at reminding people of that too, by the way.
Okay. Good for you. You're better than I am. So this came out last month. I want you to think about this article. And he's
showing
a
the
Syrian
international
refugee was on
sign
trial
of
Monday for posting
Islam.
a crime scene photo of the massacre of a Jewish family on Facebook. Palestinian added a red heart emoji with the words "blessed sacrifice" in Arabic to the image. As he left the courtroom, he cheekily flipped the finger. Garden District Court accused Musab, AA, born in Syria, school up to 11th grade, summer 2015. I mean, this is acceptable in the that they're okay. They're going to encourage this kind of thing. And this is
that's the sign of Muhammad right there, buddy.
Yeah.
I want to make two observations.
Hold on just a second. What you're saying is that this guy drew a little heart.
Okay, it says he
commemorating this murder.
He drew a red heart emoji. He added he added it. So he made basically made a picture and on top of a picture, a red heart emoji and the word "blessed sacrifice." When a Jewish family was killed.
And then he flips the camera, the bird.
Yeah. This is as he's leaving the court. Yeah.
I mean, that just...
while he was on trial. I'm sorry, while he was on trial.
Well, it tells you where their heart is and exactly what this ideology...
And this is...
more evidence for this. I mean, this is just a great example. It just teaches you where their heart is. But when I played those videos at the beginning of the show, showing them little kids... I mean, that's akin to having a Christmas program at a church. They're having a program dedicated to hating other people. And they call it religion.
Yeah, religion of Satan. Mm-hmm.
I have 2 points that I want to make, 2 observations. The first is that we've been speaking to it generally, but for the benefit of those who might be listening, there never, ever was any Palestinian nation with government. Never was. There were Muslims living there, but there wasn't any nation before the Jews set up Israel. We need to recognize that. It's not like there was a country there and the Jews came and overthrew that country. It's not like that. People need to understand that there never was a Palestinian nation. Never.
Yes.
I just want to emphasize.
Well, again, if we keep reminding people that Palestine means land of the Philistines. Now you got to ask them who are the Philistines, and according to the Romans, that was a name made to insult the Jews. But if we're just going to go on who are the Philistines, they're actually people from the island of Crete. But I still say we call that Greece today. So they're a Greek, is how I'm putting it. And that's actually documented in the Bible and verified in Egyptian records. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
just more lies exposed.
Obvious points that get lost in the revisionist history that we hear so often with the propaganda. The next point is with respect to the accusation of Muslims being Jews. We need to recognize that there were Jews living in Arabia at the time of Muhammad. And we need to also recognize that typically the men were killed and the women were raped or sold off into sexual slavery somewhere. So it's perfectly plausible to my mind to believe that there are Muslims in Arabia today who are strongly descended from Jews, believe it or not.
Absolutely.
Well, there
Think
is
about it.
there's a complexity. I don't know if you've read Gordon Newberry, but he talked about the Jews of Arabia. We know for sure that there were Jews in Yemen, but Saudi Arabia, what's called Saudi Arabia now, it's more complex. We don't have any documents from Saudi Arabia, Jewish documents, and the Jewish community as a whole don't necessarily say there were Jews there. You know what I mean? So it's a complexity. It's like, it's hard to say what the Jewish community actually looked. I did a whole research paper on this, and it was I couldn't really find a conclusive position about the Jewish population of Arabia. You know, it's hard. Even understanding what the Christian population looks like, it's very murky at best. Yemen is a more clear space, at least for Jews, but it's complex.
You know, I hear you. When I say Arabia, I didn't say Saudi Arabia. So
no, I completely understand.
Yeah,
I was saying
is part of the Arabian Peninsula, yeah. So we could still both be right. And sure. I heard a report. I didn't read it myself, but a report was read to me that said that genetic studies were done of the Arabians, and there was a high concentration of Jewish ancestry among them, believe it or not. Again, it doesn't defeat my sensibility to understand that if they're raping Jewish women and taking them as sex slaves, that ultimately down the centuries they have that trace ancestry there.
Yes, they have mixed their seed with the Jewish seed.
I got, hold on, let me bring this over here and share my screen. As soon as I get it over here, I'm going to share my screen. I got a map here that shows the Jewish population. Doggone it. I got to make this smaller because it's not working right. Sorry. And then I got to switch over here. Paul, I'll bring yours back up here in just a second. Let me bring this up here. All right, this map shows the Jewish population.
We're not seeing the map right now.
I know. I'm trying to get it up there.
Okay, sorry.
Come on, let's go. No, let's go. This
you
map.
You just had it up.
There we go.
Yeah, there we
go. All right. This map here. Skip ad. Get off. Gee, isn't this lady irritating, for Pete's sake?
Everything.
Anyway, I know. All right. So let's look at the number of Jews in these countries. Like, for example, this is, what is this? Let's see, Algeria. All right. So here you have 0 in Morocco. No Jews. What are we doing here? 0 to 500,000. So if you look across North Africa, there are no Jews. No Jews. You get down here into Somalia, no Jews. And then you get to these purple countries. These are where you have 0 to 500,000. You get to like the United States, you're going to have anywhere from, I don't know, 5 million to 6.5 million or whatever. So outside of Israel, the most Jewish country, the country with the heaviest amount of percentage-wise of Jews, it looks like it would be the United States. Of course, you're going to have a large percentage up here in Russia. You're going to have more in Canada, more liberal down here in, what is that, Argentina? Am I right on that? That's Argentina? Might be. I'm going
yes,
wrong on that.
That is Argentina.
Yeah, and then Brazil. But the bottom line is that you don't have Jews in several countries. And the reason why you don't have them in those countries is because those are Islamic-dominated countries. And Islamic-dominated countries, they kicked out all the Jews. You had the very famous YouTube video that went actually viral a couple years ago, where the UN representative for Israel is asking all these countries, Morocco, and I'll tell you where the Jews from Morocco are. I can tell you from first-hand experience. When I went to Israel, visited Israel, my wife and I spent a couple days staying with a Jewish family, and they were from Moroccan descent. Their parents were expelled from Morocco, and the reason why they were expelled is because Israel was founded, and they expelled them from Morocco. They said, okay, you got your homeland, get out. So all of their property, all of their possessions, all of their wealth is confiscated by the country of Morocco, and they escape with the clothes on their back. So when you start looking at Jews in the Middle East, North Africa, Islamic dominated countries, or Muslim majority countries, this is why. It's because they expelled them right after Israel was established, and they said, okay, there's your country, go get to it. I'm sorry, Paul, go ahead.
So I was in Paris in 2016, and the guy who was the head of, I think it was one of the head of the Jewish community of Paris was explaining to us that he felt safe there. And he says, but that's because my children are no longer in France. And yeah,
say that again.
There's a huge move of that's why France, it looked like that was grayed out in that map. Since the huge Hijra in 2016, France is almost all of their Jewish citizens have left and gone to Israel.
Yeah. Okay. Can I read something to you guys? This is from the journal science.org. As fighting continues, this article, well, let me just read through. More than 70% of Jewish men and half of the Arab men whose DNA was studied inherited their Y chromosomes from the same pair paternal ancestors who lived in the region within the last few thousand years. The results match historical accounts that some Muslim Arabs are descended from Christians and Jews who lived in the southern Levant, a region that includes Israel and the Sinai. They were descendants of a core population that lived in the area since prehistoric times. And in a recent study of 1,371 men from around the world, geneticist Michael Hammer of the University of Arizona in Tucson found that the Y chromosome in Middle East Arabs was almost indistinguishable from that of Jews.
Wow, so Arabs are Jews?
I'm telling you.
Most Muslims are Jews? Wow, that's great.
Islam is a political ideology primarily. That's what it is. And the hate of the Jews is because of their scriptures, which reject their ideology. That's what I'm contending.
Okay, here's the thesis of what I'm trying to figure out here at on the show today is, okay, you have this attack by this Pakistani Muslim last night on a Jewish synagogue, purposely targeting a Jewish synagogue. My question, and if you guys don't have any, if you guys don't know, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to figure out. Well, there was 27 churches in Colleyville, Texas. Why didn't he attack a church? Why didn't he pick a day to attack a church as opposed to a synagogue?
Because that's what the Prophet of Allah said to do.
It couldn't be that simple, though. Really? I mean, to say that today, don't you think that's a bit, I don't want to say politically incorrect, but isn't that a little too direct to say that? Isn't that a little too
I think
direct?
It's easy to say if you look at the hatred established and taught. It's one of the things I talk about. Islam teaches hatred to their children. And that's you have to understand that Islamic culture teaches hatred to their children. It's as simple as someone saying you are the worst of creatures and calling, the rest of us less than human. It's that simple. I mean, that's an example of hatred being taught. It just tells me that his parents were taught that, and on and on and on.
And well, the other thing is that when you actually look at the way the verses are supposed to be in the Quran, do you realize that Quran 9:5 is actually towards the end of the book? Right?
Yes. It's the last chapter.
What was the last one supposedly revealed to Muhammad? Am I correct on that?
9.
Or you saw other
Yes,
figures?
yes, sir, 9,
Yeah.
yes.
I think
Yeah,
we need
they-
to take an anthropological angle too. So we have to look at who the perpetrator was in this situation. The perpetrator was a South Asian. He was a Pakistani. He's a part of the South Asian contingency. South Asia has been in a lot of turmoil
Hold on.
during the
Okay,
last
let's be
several
careful
years.
with the language here.
South Asia has been under a lot of turmoil. in
Okay,
the
when you
last
say South Asian, can you be more specific? This isn't.
Sure, I'll
This isn't a
explain
bunch
what
of
South Asian
Chinamen
means.
coming to attack people.
No, that's East Asia. China would be.
I know what it means, but I'm just
Sure.
saying we need
Sure,
to.
I'll explain what it means. South Asia
South
refers
Asia.
to
Well, that would also
Pakistan,
include Indonesia.
Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal. It refers to this kind of region. So there was a thing called the partition that occurred in the 40s. So basically, Pakistan and East and West Pakistan basically kind of seceded away from the South Asian whole, which is Bharat or India, and it's been a very the Pakistani identity is this idea of trying to find their own identity as being South Asian and this kind of identity of being Muslim, particularly Sunni Muslim, because the founder of Pakistan was actually a Shia, but which is funny, a lot of people don't know that. What's his name? Qadi Azam was a Shia, but it's interesting. There's this kind of identity politics going on. Israel has the similar conception as Pakistan. And there's this kind of identity conflict where Pakistan doesn't really necessarily recognize Israel and say Israel's real. It says Israel's not real as a country, even though it's basically founded on the same way that Israel was. The British were involved. It's a really complex, messy situation. It was an idea of Muslim identity. So Pakistan's very much fixated on a Sunni Muslim identity now, not always, but there's even conflict there because you have the Qadiani, the Ahmadiyya, and the Sufi and the Shia that exists there. It's very complex. The whole thing is complex, but I think that's a part of this situation too. What are the identity politics of this person? What are their identity politics of being considering themselves Muslim? What does that mean as a South Asian Pakistani Muslim? Probably Ahl Sunnah wa Jama'ah, probably not Sufi. What does this mean? What does that identity mean in this particular situation? How does that affect what his response is? So I think that's something to think about. And also, Osama bin Laden was supposed to have been stated to have been secured there in a part of Pakistan. So I mean, there's some weird politics going on, and I think just being fair to the discussion, we need to think about the politics too.
Okay, I have let's see, Abbas. Aga Abbas, I'm sending you an invite via Skype. If you check out your Skype, you should receive that if you feel you need if you want to come up and defend it. Okay, Mom, call me Mom. Got on there asking me if I have a cold. No, I don't have a cold. I have COVID. I picked it up on. Well, I don't know. I picked it up, but I've had.
That's after you got
Friday,
the shot, right? That's after you got the jab.
Yes, I was vaccinated. I had COVID last Christmas.
But you got the
grandson
jab,
gave it
and
to
now
me.
you got. That's what I'm trying to get at.
And then
So you
and then
killed
I
your
was
immunities by the
vaccinated in
jab.
April. Right, and then I was vaccinated in April, and now I have it again. Congratulations. So yeah, I feel like a hubcap. Yeah, I feel like a hubcap full
No
of crap.
more jab.
All right,
No
so
more jab.
yep, no more jabbing for this guy. Okay, so Abbas, I
Please.
sent you the link. So what we're looking at here is we're looking at this, and we've showed it already in the at the beginning of the show. And many of you, I saw that many of you did not see the show, and you're coming in kind of late, which is kind of fun or fine. What I did show is that attack on that synagogue last night was religiously motivated by a Muslim man, and of course, we got to put the disclaimer here. We don't think that all Muslims are out to attack Jews. All Muslims are not all to attack. Nobody here thinks that. For crying out loud. So let's not get down in the sewer like that. But what we do find is we find a consistency here. We find a consistency in the attacks. Okay, Abbas, I can't take your call while we're on live. You can come up. I clicked it for you. I sent it to you. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I was talking about what we saw is the consistency here. The consistency that is taught, what is this visceral hatred in the Islamic world for Jews. We see it beginning with the Banu Qurayza, the Banu Kanuko, and what was the third Jewish tribe there in Arabia at the time? It doesn't matter, but there was 3 Jewish tribes.
Banu Kinana.
Bani Nadir.
Okay, there was 3 of them in Yathrib, in Medina, and within a few years, they were all gone. Okay, they were all gone. They're all expelled by Muhammad, and the reason why is that all of them, supposedly, and this is the storyline, that they're all conspiring against Muhammad, despite the fact that they invited him in. Okay, so they're all conspiring against him, and of course he's got to fight them, and he's got to kill them, he's got to expel them. Well, he expelled the first 2, and then the last, the Banu Qurayza, is the one that he assassinated, killed all of the adult men as being defined by having pubic hair. That was an adult man. If you had pubic hair, you were killed. And it was like 800 of them in an afternoon. And then this carries on. And when we saw at the beginning of the show, I played you video clips of a mosque in Philadelphia, here in the United States, celebrating the killing of other people in the mosque by children. Now, I'm not just talking adults doing this, or some imam that's lost his mind and is a little too jihadi and wants to go kill everybody. I'm talking about them teaching their little kids to do this. And this is the source of this hatred. So when I get somebody in here saying, I'm not sure who was it, who was this? Principal methods. Look at here. Look at here. Look what he says. Don't get vaccine, dummies. Thank you for telling me that. A little too late.
Adam.
Thank you for telling me that.
That's Adam, the Muslim. That's Adam, the Muslim.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Not Adam Seeker.
No, sir. No,
okay.
He's done a couple of debates with Chris Claus.
Okay. But somebody, I can't remember where I was going with this, but that's okay. But somebody had said here in, golly, I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah, we're teaching hatred. Now, this is where I was accused of being an Islamophobe last year on my own channel when I started citing few research statistics of the opinions of Muslim majority countries on what they think of Sharia law, what do they think about the Islamic Act, is it justifiable to kill somebody? When is it? Is it ever justifiable? Questions like this. And when you start bringing these things up, this is what you get. We're the ones that are being hate-filled. We're the ones that are supposedly teaching hate.
It's called changing the topic. It's fallacious reasoning.
Yeah, we're exposing what it is. We're exposing the anti-Semitism. And saying, don't be that way. We're saying, don't be that way.
Okay. XYZ, thank you for that. Is the Banu Nadir, Banu Kanuka, and the Banu Qurayza. Yes, okay. I knew there was 3 there. I just can't.
What happened to the Qurayza Jews? What did he do with them?
Which ones?
He annihilated every male, and if they had one pubic hair, they were executed. They were beheaded.
Right.
And what happened to the women? They became sex slaves.
Sex slave. Great.
Now, is that permissible? I mean, that's something. That's a question that you need to ask. And this was the impetus of the debate last night that Kenny did with David Wood. Is it ever okay? Is it okay for an adult man to marry and have sex with a prepubescent little girl? Yeah, and of course, you get all these citations. Well. Okay, quit making sense of, because the question was, and the diversion laid primarily upon the fact, well, all these other cultures did it. Children married earlier. This is true. People married earlier in other cultures.
And what ages?
Here in the United States, people married much younger than what they do.
Were married off in the United States in a regular.
Oh,
Okay,
so
let
we
me
had.
finish. Golly, guys, would you let me finish?
I'm sorry.
I was just saying that they did marry earlier. They did marry much earlier in a lot of cases. But the difference is, and this is the point that I was trying to make, the biggest difference is that they weren't married off to 54-year-old scumbags. They weren't married off to these old men looking to get their jollies off on some prepubescent little girl. They were married off to people more of their age, and that they were going to have families. This didn't happen with Aisha. Aisha was nothing more than a play toy. And you notice his defense was, well, she never complained about it. When would she have the opportunity to complain about it? And what would happen if she did complain about it? Anybody that complained about Muhammad found himself dead.
Yeah, who would she complain to again?
And who's making all that noise? Yeah, is that you making all that noise?
Yeah, it's going through a book, I think.
Are you going through a book?
Actually, me and Rad was talking about that when she was complaining about the other wives. So she was complaining about it. That she was complaining.
She was complaining about one wife being beaten?
No, she was complaining about the other wives, that she was jealous over the other wives.
Oh, when
that is abuse.
They caught him having sex in Hafsa's bed?
No, his other wives. Aisha was jealous over Muhammad's other wives, and she complained about it. So that is abuse. Because here he marries this little girl, and then he's end up marrying 9 to 13 others, and she complains about it. So that is a point of abuse. She's being abused.
Yeah.
She said she didn't really. In one hadith, it says she only really jealous of Khadijah, who was already dead by that point. But yeah.
Well, not to mention that he beat them so bad that they're green, their skin turned green. So
what about
that.
Miriam?
She never got justice.
Remember the sex slave Miriam. Aisha was most upset about the fact that he had so many wives, but couldn't keep himself off of the sex slave.
Yeah, are you talking about Mary the Copt or who?
Correct.
Who
Yes, Mary the Copt. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was just a regular horn dog.
Hey, she was hot. Come on, man.
When you have that, I tell you what, when they start talking about him being what do they call that? A sex addict. These are the exact symptoms, if we look in the DSM today, of what the type of character traits a sex addict would display. But of course, to bring those up is Islamophobic, and what was the word? Hate-filled. We're speaking hate-filled things.
Good. I'm glad.
Okay, so let's get back to this anti-Semitism that is grown out of Islam. Last week, at the beginning of this show, I went trying to look for it. I played several. If you guys remember, it was on Tuesday. On Tuesday's show, I showed several video clips of attacks on Jews, by Muslims.
Yes. And
these attacks were unprovoked and done with with impunity. It wasn't just on civilians. It was, of course, there were several on civilians, but it was also on IDF soldiers. And when we start thinking about, okay, well, what's the source of this desire to attack Jews, not only in Israel itself, but also in the United States, as exemplified in the attacks or the taking hostage of those Jews in the synagogue last night? What is the source for that, and where can we find that source? And this is what we're talking about today. Where do we find these sources that encourage people to go out and do something like this?
Oh, I don't know. Could it be
called the Quran?
May I come in and say something?
Yep, go ahead.
I can start posting verses while he's talking.
Okay, I'll bring them up. Go ahead.
Since they establish the government of Israel and Palestine between in 1948 till 2014. The total deaths civilian from the Palestinian is 63,593. In 2014, from 8th of July, can you please write down the figure? Then when I finish, we can talk about it instead of interrupting me.
You said 63,593.
This from 48 to 2014.
Okay.
2014, from the 8th of July till 27th of August is 51 days. There were 2,104 civilian, 495 children, 253 women, 5,226 targets in Gaza were innocent people sheltering, including school, hospital, shelter, civilian.
What's your source?
Can you just let me finish, please?
Let him talk.
You know, you will have all the time to say whatever you like. Comparing this figure with 72 civilian, there were only 80 Jews died in 2014. In 2009, from 27th of December to 18th of January, 22 days. Palestinian death, 1,391, 760 of them were civilian, while only 10 soldiers, Israeli soldiers, were died, and 3 only civilian people. In 2001, you all know, Palestinian 230, 70 children, 63 women, 170 journalists, plus 1,800 injured. A Jew, only 12, and 2 children were harmed. If you look at the figure, we are talking about Palestinian. They have nothing but stones and whatever they can do, you know, small weight machine gun against the might of the Jew, who are supported by the British, supported by the American, supported by everyone. Even they are going against the international law. And you guys, instead of being happy, because according to your own Bible, the Jew were the reason why Jesus was crucified by the Roman. And the Jew, they tried to kill the Messiah many times before.
Okay, you're getting off topic. You're getting off topic a little bit there.
I am finished.
Okay, thanks. And I want to ask you a couple questions about this, if you don't mind. These numbers that you're citing, what is the source that you get for these numbers? I'm not questioning the validity of the sources. I'm just asking where you get these sources. You're muted. I didn't mute you. Yeah, you're muted. You're muted. Unmute yourself. There you go. What was the sources?
The sources are from the media, are being calculated by those people who human rights, and Israel have even demolished the building which was responsible.
Okay, so you're not going to.
What's going on in there?
You're not going to give us a source.
In other words,
you're not
right.
You're not giving
us
the
point I'm trying to make.
Al Jazeera, go on
Al Jazeera. Okay, Al Jazeera. Okay, no, that's fine, guys. That's fine. Al Jazeera is a source. Okay, that's we're just looking at the credibility here. We're looking at the sources. I want to ask a couple other questions. Okay, you said that something about stones when they have nothing but stones. Do you think a Katyusha rocket is similar to a stone?
They have some not as much as advanced warplane, or they have this kind, but they improve themselves, and they arm themselves, and they have some support from Hamas, and they are defending their own. Because
okay, what are they defending against? They've been given the entire Gaza Strip. They have complete autonomy to rule themselves. For what possible reason could the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip start launching rockets into the most populous, densely populated civilian zones in the world? What possible justification is that to initiate that type of attack?
It seems,
because this is what happened last spring.
Okay. It seems that you ignore the fact that Gaza Strip is almost isolated from any resources of living.
The Gaza Strip receives more aid than any other.
Can I finish?
No, you can't, because you're lying.
Let him go.
The restriction on the Palestinian is beyond belief, and whoever visited that land, they know how isolated it is. And
why is it so restricted?
Can you please
no.
allow me
Why
to
is
finish?
it so restricted? Why is it so restricted?
Egyptians don't want to have
because they keep trying to kill the Jews. That's why it's so restricted. Because they keep trying to kill the Jews, buddy. Get it right.
Okay. Can I ask you a question? Where were the Jews before 100 years ago, before they established their country by United Kingdom and the French, and they colonized everyone, and they give the state of Israel? Where were they?
You ever heard of the Balfour Declaration? Ever heard of the Balfour Declaration?
Yes, exactly. And
okay, all right. That was the world. That was the world. That was the whole world agreeing on that, bro.
Okay, you're asking what gives people the right to do that to the people in that region. Is that what your question is?
700,000. Just 1 second. 700,000 Palestinians were removed.
There were no Palestinians. There were no Palestinians in that land before the Jews got there, bro. There were no Palestinians because Palestine didn't even exist then. Are you stupid?
You are the stupid one.
All right, stupid doesn't help. All right, let me
learn your history, buddy.
Can I say something, Eric? Can I say something, if you don't mind?
Let me just address this first off, and I'll let you come on, Abbas. Give me a second here. All right, his question was, 100 years ago, at the fall of the Ottoman Empire, all of those lands were divided up according to England and France and the Allied powers. Now, this is something that has been going on since time began. When you are a nation and you go to war with your neighbors and you lose, it's not, the expectation is not to give you back the land and saying, here, all right, well, mea culpa, here you go, take it back. There are ramifications for your actions. So when the Ottoman Empire sided with the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, sided with the German Empire, what do they call themselves at the time, sided with them during World War I and lost, there are consequences to that. They lost. So when those lands were lost and they were ruled by the British, which naturally happens, where did Abbas go? Okay, he'll come back on. Which naturally happens at the conclusion of all the wars, and then those lands are divided up accordingly. Don't get all butthurt and say, well, this is some type of indignity imposed upon us by, allied ruling powers, when this is a natural consequence of war. If you do not, it's just like the 67 war. This is what's so amazing to me. Is the 67 war, Israel, here you have Israel's attacked by 7 separate nations. 7. And when they're attacked, and they actually take the land from those nations that attack them from Golan Heights, West Bank, Sinai Peninsula. And you have all of this sniveling, whining, complaining that, well, why do the Jews have this land now when we were attacked, when we used this land to attack them? You have no justification. You have no moral basis. You have no legal basis from which to argue. If you do not want to have land taken from you, don't go attacking your neighbors, because this is just a logical consequence that has been demonstrated time and time again throughout all of history.
In France, Eric, to cement your point, in France that happened.
What's that to do with World War I and World War II? What's that to do with the Palestinians?
Dude, have you been listening?
I'm talking to the guy, Eric. He's listening to me. You guys cannot wait till I finish my sentence.
Yeah. I want to hear what Paul has to say. Go ahead, Paul.
And
then we're going to bring the boss on.
When they got their butts kicked by a united army from multiple nations, guess what they did? They started to divide up France. Okay. They eventually allowed France to be France, but it took a long time. And that's historically what happens. It's exactly what Eric said. You attack someone, you get your butt kicked. Sorry, you lose the land.
And that's what happened to the people in Israel. All right, Abbas.
And Iraq.
Yeah. Hi. Salam to my brother Yahya, and hello to everybody else. I just want to say that everybody keeps saying that. I heard a few times people are saying Philistines were not there before the Jews. Jews were well before the Philistines. So can somebody explain that to me? In Genesis, it says in the time of Abraham, he was walking in the land of the Philistine, and Isaac was in the time when there was a king of Philistine. I don't know. Maybe somebody can explain that to me. This is just my question. Yeah.
Dominic is going to answer that.
Abbas, I'm answering your question.
I want to make one comment as well.
Okay, let him answer it.
Basically, with the actual Philistines, there's been recent archaeological evidence that actually proves that the actual Philistines came from Greece. There's actually no links to the actual so the actual DNA evidence actually links them back to the actual Greek to the actual Greek Empire. So there's no actual evidence to prove that.
So you're saying this Philistine 4,000 plus years ago, in the time of Abraham,
the Philistines are not the Palestinians.
One second, hang on a minute. Palestine is English word. It's the Philistine. In Arabic, it's Palestine. Same as Philistine.
Yeah, but that's not Greek. That's not Greek.
Well,
that's not Greek.
Hang on a minute. Calm down.
Yeah. See,
have a chill pill.
Now you see what you're trying to do now is you're trying to make a straw man argument.
I'm answering Dominic here.
No,
so
you're making a straw man argument.
I'm speaking, man. Have some manners. So when those Philistines 4,000 plus years ago, you're telling me those Greeks were settled down in that land where Abraham was walking. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm basically saying is that there's no link between the current Arabs that are in Palestine to the fact. So when you're looking at Near East,
Boss, can you turn off your mic for a minute so we can hear Dominic?
1 second.
When you're looking at Near Eastern ancient archaeology, I can't remember they were spoken like something like Arabia. They wouldn't have even spoken like the actual Philistine language would have been something like along those lines.
So you have any evidence where you got this archaeology? I
put some links. I put some.
And bring yours too, boss. Bring yours too, bud.
No. This is your word against a very commonsensical approach. That if you read the Bible,
bring it, boss.
So not stated here is there is.
This is very rude, actually. When I'm talking, the guy is just keep cutting me off. It's not nice. Finish off. Finish what you want to say.
Because you can't back your own position, buddy.
Well, I'm quoting your Bible, buddy.
Abbas, let me ask you a question. Okay, so I can get my mind around this. You're saying, okay, in the Bible it says that the Philistines were in the land at the time of Abraham. Is that correct?
No, Abraham is in the land of Philistine. Not Philistine in the land.
Where
is that? Where is that?
I got it back.
Genesis chapter 26. Verse
where is the land? Where is the land, Abbas? Where is the land?
Where Abraham was in that land, and also
where is the land?
Also
tell us where it is.
Sorry.
Come on, man.
1 second.
Tell us where the land.
Guys, allow the man to give you the reference. Allow the man to give you the reference.
I don't know why.
Children.
Exactly. I don't know. Calm down, man. What's happening? Just Holy Spirit, man. Just calm down here.
Come on, man. Why are you waiting?
I just want the verse. I just want the verse.
Yeah, Genesis chapter 26.
He's
Dominic, hold on. 26 what?
Genesis 26, verse 1.
Genesis, golly, guys, stop. 26 what?
1.
26, 1. Okay, all right. So you're saying that Abraham was in the land of the Philistines. Am I correct on this?
Eric,
Yes, that's
you heard
correct.
me. Eric, you heard me. I asked a question. I wasn't making any. I said, who were those people in the land of Palestine? I want you to answer me.
Okay, well,
Do you
I
mind-
would assume
do
that
you
they're
mind
the
if I
people
say
who
something
inhabit
about
the
that?
land. No, hold on a second. I want to get to the bottom of this. Hold on, give me a second. So you're saying that the people that were in the land were called Philistines in 2000 BC. Is that right?
That's right. There was a king of Philistine and there was a land of Philistine.
Okay, and you're saying that they're Greek.
I'm not saying that. That's your friend saying that. I say Abraham was in
Who's
that
saying
land
it?
of Philistine, and I'm saying that they are the same people as Philistine today, unless you prove me otherwise.
Okay, so let's just hold on a second. Hold on a second. So what you're getting to is that this land is that land is their land. Is that the premise of your argument?
so-
here? I'm not even following your argument.
Well before Jews ever existed. Yes, that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
so who was the land promised to? Did God establish a covenant with Abraham to give him that land?
Yes, it does.
Okay, then
Yes.
why is this even a problem with you then? Why is this even an issue?
But the land God promised, promise of to Abraham was from Turkey all the way down to Sudan.
Okay, what
Show us
evidence
the
do you
word
have
Turkey
for that?
in the
What
Bible.
No,
good
it
Lord,
was talking
what
about
evidence do you have for that?
river Euphrates to the river of Egypt. That was the promise of the promise of God. So
Okay, is the
that
Euphrates
means
in Turkey?
yes, Euphrates are from Turkey, isn't it? It goes all the way to Turkey. Euphrates,
so-
yes.
From
Okay,
Iran
so
to
you
Egypt.
just destroyed your own religion. Thank you.
No, what I'm saying, if
Okay,
you
I
go
wanna
by
hear what
your
Dominic
logic,
has to say.
then
I'm
the
letting
Jews,
Dominic
then
go.
the Jews
Dominic.
should take over all from Turkey to Sudan. This is not
Okay,
how
I
it
just
works.
wanted
God
to
has
get some
given.
clarification on this. So go ahead, Dominic.
No,
Go
but
ahead.
you changed the question.
Most of the Philistines were destroyed under actual Nebuchadnezzar. So the things, if you have any kind of, the thing is to link them is just absurd. But the things you did actually degrade your own point by saying the fact that Abraham promised the land to Isaac from the river Nile to the river Euphrates. That was a
Okay.
promised land to actually Israel.
May I respond to you? May I respond to you? You didn't let me finish my.
Let Dominic finish.
Also for the fact of the actual archaeological evidence. I mean, you've got archaeological evidence from say the 10th century BC, from the time of David. You have stuff like the Tel Dan inscription. You have many other inscriptions that you can actually date that history with actual physical evidence. So someone like Isaiah, there's an inscription regarding his name, or someone like Hezekiah from the 7th century. When we're stating about the land, there's actual archaeological proof that actually links them back to the actual land. It's not just based on hearsay. So when you're kind of proving the point, but because do you know who the first Palestinian orchestra was?
No, let me refute your first point. The first point you make here, which you totally misunderstood. When I agree with Eric that the land was promised to Abraham, but what you did very cleverly, you put Isaac along with Abraham. But I say land was. One second.
Well, why is that clever? I don't.
Eric, I tell you why. The land was promised to Abraham and his descendants. And Ishmael is also a descendant of Abraham alayhi salam.
But it wasn't the covenant. The covenant was made with Isaac. You're forgetting that. That's not like a small detail. That's like a huge detail. That's like
show us where it says the land was promised to.
Read the passage on the Bible that says the land was promised to Abraham and his descendants. And Ishmael,
not through Isaac, not Ishmael.
No,
through
where
Isaac.
is it? Where it says?
Okay, give me a second. Yeah. I'll find it for you.
Go on then. And secondly, when he says Nebuchadnezzar kill all the Philistines, where is your proof for that? This is your just word. Where is that all Philistines were killed in the time of Nebuchadnezzar?
It's in one of the actual. I think it's something like I think it's like Herodotus or something. I'm trying to find that now, but it is one of the. Do you know? God, I'm trying to find the source.
Because this is the first time I ever heard the Philistines all were destroyed.
I would want to ask a question about this, honestly. When we're dealing with thousands and thousands of years, millennia, centuries, can we really say that one group is the same group now? I would argue, let's take the Egyptians. Are modern day Egyptians the same as the Nubians from before? I would say that's a hard case to prove. Because we have lots of intermarriage, we have lots of occupation, lots of imperialism. We have to address all of that. It's hard to prove any purist ethnic identity. I don't know if we can prove that. Like, take something like Arab identity. What even is that? What is an Arab identity? You can't even prove what that is. It's a hodgepodge of multiple identities into one. There were things called Phoenicians. I don't really know what they are now. Moabites, Amalekites. Who are these people? A lot of people died, and then they intermarried with other people, and they became another new group of people. It's hard to prove a purist narrative. That's what I would think we need to argue in this context too.
Well, I think if we look at the Jews right now in Israel, they are not all Jews or descendants of Abraham. Many are the people came from the, what do you call it, near Russia. They came from Russia. There was a kingdom there. They were all pagans. They turned into Judaism. And many of these Zionist people they were not descendants of Abraham. So we can say that they are not also Jews as well. So where this argument will take us?
The thing is, may I say something about the Tatar people of Russia? Would you say they're not truly Tatar? I think a lot of people in Russia had their own ethnic communities, like USSR. You had many indigenous, not indigenous, but ethnic minorities that existed there and intermarried with each other. So you have a huge, like you have that what is he, an MMA fighter? He's a Russian, but he's also a Tatar. I think that exists too. You have your ethnic minorities that exist within the construct of the Russian Empire.
Yeah, well, I would just want to say one last
testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
I just want
to say
one
thing.
Me?
We hear you. We can hear you.
I just want to say one quick point I want to make, that I, as a Muslim, I have no problem as a country of Israel exists. I have no problem. Only my problem is if they go back to the borders of 1967, before 1967. Occupied territory, as long as they give, I have no problem. I think most of the Arab countries, they don't have problem with that as well.
Okay, let me ask you a question about that.
Goes back to the 1948 borders. That's what they have.
Okay, let me ask you a question about that, Abbas. Abbas, let me ask you a question about that 1967 border shtick.
That's right.
Okay, so if Israel's attacked by Syria through the Golan Heights, is Israel, I'm sorry, Ed, I didn't see this, you're backstage. If Israel is attacked by Syria through the Golan Heights, should Israel have to give that land back to Syria?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I am not very much a political person, but what I heard that is United Nations, according to United Nations, they say if you win a war and you occupy the land, you have to give back the land. If I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's not what the laws.
That's not
what the laws of warfare. That's not what the laws of warfare say. No, this is if you attack a country from a certain land in your own country, then if you lose that war and that country that you attacked wins and takes that land, you're not entitled to it back. What about Jordan when they attacked from the West Bank and they were pleaded with to stay out of the war, yet they attacked Israel anyway? Do you think that should be given back to Jordan?
Well, listen, as I say, I'm not very much a political person. I'll let Yahya answer that question. So I
have a question that's kind of intentionally rigged.
I'm not in the politics. I was talking about the scriptures here. So that's why.
Let me give you one here.
Okay.
Do you think that Israel should have given back the Sinai Peninsula?
If it's in the regions which they occupied after 1967, yes.
Okay, and well, I actually agree with you, because it was Egypt and Gabal Nasser who was posing or putting all of his armored divisions up on the Israeli border, and Israel, instead of waiting to be attacked, they went and destroyed the Egyptian Air Force within 2 hours, ended up decimating all of the armored divisions out there in the Sinai Peninsula. So it was Israel who actually attacked Egypt, even though it was being provoked, they attacked Egypt. So according to the laws of international warfare, Israel was then required to give back the land in Sinai, and they did. It's completely, parts of it are under MOFO today, but it doesn't matter. They did give it back. But the other two regions, they have complete. So this is when you start saying, well, we need to go back to this 63-67 borders. Why? I mean, if you get your butt kicked for being provocative, like they were, if you attack somebody, don't get all your undies in a bunch.
I heard that it is against the United Nations that you have to give the land back. That's why they have against the resolutions. Sorry, there was a
That's not true.
lot of noises coming.
Let me say something. Let me say
Where'd
something.
you hear it?
The presence of Israel and the land, it is destined by God. So He gathers them back because it's a sign of the end. And with all this problem, Israel will dominate and will go from strength to strength, and they will be the one who will be overpower everyone around them, and there's no question about it. As the Israeli, actually, they are ruling the world, starting from United States to the smallest state. They are always very powerful, and they are the dominated power because of God gives them strength as matter of test. But let me, let me show you something that God actually did not fulfill His promise to Abraham according to the Bible, because if you read Genesis 23:4-20, after the death of Abraham, Sarah purchased the land for burial site only. So Abraham wasn't an owner for any land promised by
Which
God.
chapter and verse was that? Which chapter and
verse? Genesis 23, from verse number 4 to verse number 20, where it says, where Abraham says, "I am an alien and strange among you. Sell me some property for a burial site, so that I bury my dead." Haiti, they agree with him, and they sell him the land for 400 shekel. So according to the Bible, even God failed to fulfill his promise to Abraham. And by the way,
Can
Abraham,
I refute that now?
Just one more thing.
Well, let Ed address that specific
you
thing
all
said.
know.
Yeah. We don't want to go into too many different verses.
One second. You all know that the Jew have been servant, slave, and Pharaoh land, and they are the one who build and slavery build Egypt. So why don't the Jew go back and enter the old Egypt and reclaim it? Because they were the one who fled with Moses from the land where they used to live.
Well, that makes all kinds of sense in the world. The Jews go back into Egypt because they built Egypt. That'll work out.
Yeah, absolutely. They've built it with their own hands.
Ed, what are you going to?
I was just going to bring up Deuteronomy 6:10. Which is part of the Torah that Muhammad and Allah confirmed, where it says, "And it shall be, when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the land which he swore unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." I don't see Ishmael anywhere here.
Ed, where's Ishmael? You skipped Ishmael.
He's not anywhere in here. How about that? "To give thee great and goodly cities which thou built not." So where is Ishmael again? Yahya, I can't find him. He's not here. He's not here in the covenant.
Fair enough.
Let me find it.
To be fair,
I will find it in a minute.
Well, okay, boss. When you look for it, please. Okay,
good luck for that.
Give me just a second. Okay, thank you. I was just going to say, boss, make sure you not blessing, but covenant. All right, because there's a big difference between blessing and covenant. All right, go ahead, Yahya.
By the way, please, all of you, visit my channel, because I have a video about what land has Abraham on, and which one belongs to the Jew, or does it belong to anybody else. As long as we know that Abraham came from the land of Ur and Iraq, and settled down in Egypt and Palestine, and God promised him the land for him and his descendant, still the land belongs to everyone around, and it's holy land. Actually, my conclusion, I just finished my the land is a promise for the believer and the oneness of God and the obedient servant of God, no matter who are they. And we are all this,
So
the Arab and the Jew. They
Yeah,
are
I find some verses here. I find some verses
Go
here.
ahead, Abbas.
Bring us the verses, Abbas.
Hold on, Abbas.
Bring us the verses.
Okay, Abbas, before you do that, let Dominic, hold on. Before you do that, Dominic, go ahead and respond.
How many Jewish states are there in the world, and how many Arab states are there in the world?
There's one Jewish state, and Arab states. Yeah. And I'm not against Jewish state. I told you I'm not against it.
You're not against Jewish state.
I think I told you they have a right to have their state. I'm not against that. I told you, but I'm against the occupied territories, extended borders from 1967. I am totally against that.
And what basis are you making those border lines on?
Deuteronomy
let Dominic
6,
finish. Guys, let Dominic
18.
finish. You guys, you haven't let Dominic finish. Dominic, go ahead.
Abbas, what basis have you got? Because we can base scripture. So during the time of King Solomon, from the land of Bathsheba, I mean, you've got evidence that say Shiloh. Shiloh is one of those lands, or there's lots of evidence. There's lots of archaeological evidence that actually proves back that the Jews were in the land. I mean, they dug up, was it the altar of Joshua recently, to the actual land. So essentially, in places, even in places like Jordan, there's actual archaeological evidence that the Jews were there from that time. There's actual stuff that proves that. So when we're doing this, it's like, it's not just simply the fact of, okay, we have it's actual physical evidence, but you also have to prove that Isaac or Ishmael actually goes back to either Muhammad in the Hijaz region, which is even harder, because essentially, I mean, there's no one who lived in the Hijaz region during the time of Muhammad. So what you've got is a long shot, because you literally have to prove with an actual genealogical record that your actual case it's a hard case to prove.
No, what you're saying is because there were Jews in the land well before for thousands of years, so now they have to take it back. No matter what people are living there, people are living there for maybe 1,000 years, maybe 500 years. They have no right to be there because we are back now, and we're going to take land from you by hook or by crook. And that's why we see so many refugees sitting in the Gaza Strip. They are waiting for like 48 to 50 years to go back to their villages, to go back to the land. I think that's horrible. And you are defending it because God has given them that land, so they have a right to take it back. All I can say is
Gaza was only like George W. Bush. He gave Gaza over to the Muslims, or he gave Gaza over to the Muslims. Look what state that they put Gaza in.
Okay. Dominic, now you're taking me to the realm of politics, and I told you I'm the least of a politician.
This is not the realm of politics, because the thing is, the thing is, according to Islam, they want the whole. When they refer to Palestine, they want the whole of land of Israel. Like if you kind of say, so the thing is, when we're talking about the actual roots to the actual land, that's the thing.
We're proving our point from the Bible, dude. We're quoting scripture.
No,
We're not quoting anything. It's just all the same
ready
stuff
to
coming
quote.
from you, buddy.
I'm ready to quote, but the Dominic started talking something else. I told you.
Quote it. Come on, let's see the Bible verses.
Okay, yeah. Now we're going to say the descendants of Abraham have given the land. Genesis chapter 12, verse 7 reads this. Then the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, to your descendants I will give this land. So he built there an altar to the Lord who had appeared to him. Then Genesis 13:15 says, for all the land which you see, I will give to you and to your descendants forever. Then also Genesis 15:13 says something as well. Then the Lord said to Abraham, know of a surety that your descendants will be sojourners in the land that is not theirs, and will be slaves there, and they will be oppressed for 400 years. So many verses in the Bible say descendants of Abraham. What you
That's
read
not including Isaac, though. See,
the thing is,
it said descendants.
Abbas,
Isaac is
Abbas, when you read the Bible, you have to read the continuing of it. And then he goes to Isaac and he says the same thing. And then he goes to Jacob and he says the same thing. And then we get the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And that's where you're not wanting to get the connection from. If you're wanting to say that you're wanting to look at the Bible and you're wanting to look at the Quran, then you have to be honest of what you are reading. You just can't stop there and go, these are the descendants. Continue the story and you'll see where the line goes.
So are you saying that Ishmael is not a descendant of Abraham?
We are saying that he wasn't mentioned.
The promise wasn't going through Ishmael at all. It was Abraham to Isaac, then to Jacob, and then to all the children of Israel.
Abbas, what you're missing is there's a blessing and there's things that were handed down. One is a blessing, okay, and then there is this other. Then there's covenant, okay. Those things were handed down to the firstborn.
Yeah, you were
in
muted,
general.
Eric.
Actually,
Sorry.
I have something for you
I was
guys.
coughing. Hold on. Abbas, hold on a second. I wanted to address something. that I had myself because I was having a coughing fit. Okay. If you look where the covenant's going, though, the covenant goes from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. Then from Jacob, it's passed to who? Ishmael? Is Ishmael in any of that? Is Ishmael even remotely considering that? No. Why? Because Joseph was sold off to the Ishmaelites. The Jews hated the Ishmaelites, the descendants of Ishmael. Then they settle in Egypt. Then they're taken into slavery in Egypt. And then when they leave, God establishes another covenant with them. It's called the Mosaic covenant. And then from that covenant, it eventually leads to the Davidic covenant, saying that the Messiah was going to come out of there. There is nowhere in all of that prophetic line of Ishmael or Ishmaelites or any of the descendants of Ishmael ever having taken part in any of that covenant. Now, the good news,
Quran doesn't cite any children of Ishmael.
Here's the good news. Let me just say the good news, Paul, and I'll let you go. The good news is that you have that opportunity now to be grafted into that covenant. And that's through faith in Jesus Christ. All right, Paul, go ahead.
Let me tell you something.
Paul wanted to say something. Yeah.
I'm done.
All right,
Abraham, according to the Bible, was buried by Ishaq and Ishmael next to his wife Sarah. This is you find in Genesis 25:5. And Abraham has 3 wives, Sarah, Hagar, and Ketusha. And all their children should be blessed because God, when he spoke to Abraham, he blessed all his descendants, while he blessed him especially with the prophethood and the line of the blood of Ishaq.
That's what I said earlier. They was blessed. They were blessed. Exactly. I agree with you. So, I agree.
And one more thing, just to confirm, whom God have a promise. God promised the land, and Deuteronomy 6:18 to the believer, obedient servant, not to the oppressor, disobedient killer, the Zionists who are against even the Orthodox Jew who are against the state of Israel. There's difference in the state of Israel and the Jew, because the Jews, they know that they don't have land, because God, after Noah, they been scattered 12 tribes on the earth without any land. Then, because of the promise of the promise of the end of time, God will gather them. We call it Ard al-Mi'ad, the land of the meeting for the judgment. And this is where we are coming for the Christ and the Antichrist, and how he will mislead everyone. And Islam actually give you a total general picture about everything, that God sent the Prophet Muhammad for the Jew and the Christian to believe in the oneness of God after all.
Very quickly, I want to read one verse, if you allow me, just one verse, to make a case for Ishmael. Genesis 17:20 says this: As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I will bless him, and make him fruitful, and multiply him exceedingly. He shall be the father of 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. So to making a great nation, obviously you're going to give them some land.
No,
So
no, it
if
doesn't say that.
Hold
No,
on,
you're
let him
lying.
finish. Let him
no,
let him finish.
if
Let him finish.
if Ishmael is
You're
not part
inferring.
of those descendants who's going to be occupied the land, so how he's going to be a great nation? And God
Why are
say,
you
"I will make
lying?
him a great nation."
Where
He's,
is this great
he's
I'm
nation
reading
reading
your
his
verse.
own Bible.
No,
Why are you
no,
calling him
I'm
lying?
reading your Bible.
Connie
Where
is
is it
going to
at?
respond.
Yeah,
Okay,
where
because
is
he
this
just
great?
cited it, but that doesn't.
As you're reading,
The point
That's
is that he's conflating two terms, and this is
yes.
what happens all the time. He's conflating the term of blessing and one of covenant. Yes, he did say, "I'm going to bless Ishmael," and he did. He has. You look at all the descendants across the globe are from Ishmael. Now, I don't think for a second that there's any direct line from Muhammad to Ishmael, but even if there was, and you want to pretend that there is, that's cool. But the fact of the matter is that covenant. That covenantal relationship between God and his people was passed through Isaac, not Ishmael.
Amen.
There was a blessing there, but not a covenant.
I was talking about the land. I was talking
And
about the
what's that
land.
And
what's
you
that to
can't
do with
prove.
Christian?
And you can't prove that it
Can
goes
you
back
give
to
me the link?
Ishmael.
Can you
Right.
give me
You
the
can't
link
prove
between
it.
guys?
Now,
Guys,
why should we? You don't give us any links. You haven't given us one link, Abbas.
What
You haven't given us one link. You haven't given us one link, dude. Come on, man.
I'm reading your Bible.
Practice
I'm
what you
giving you
preach.
references.
Okay,
I'm
guys.
giving
All
you
right.
references to your
Yahya,
Bible.
you haven't given us one link. All we've
I
heard,
will
all
give
we've
you
gotten
so
from
many
you is
links.
blah blah blah. Well, put them in
Yeah.
here. We're waiting on you, bro.
Where in the
Bro,
Quran does it
can you
actually
check
mention
visit
Guys.
my channel
Ishmael
and
Eric,
see how
children?
much blah 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 and link
Eric,
I give you?
can I clear
Well,
one
you're right here.
misconception?
You
Yeah,
I
don't
heard
okay,
need to be here.
Abbas.
I
I
heard on
say
your
something, and
stream.
then
I heard on your
okay.
stream many times you complain that why God called you worst of the creatures, and you that means that you are beneath human being. You don't understand
Right.
what God is trying to say. God is not saying you're beneath human being. God is saying you are a human being who become beneath than other creatures. Meaning you are rejecting God and you are rebelling against God. So you are worse than the donkey or the pig. Why? They don't rebel God. They don't reject their God. So yes, anyone who rejects their God will become beneath anybody, anything other than earth, other creatures. So
Or less
you
than
are
human.
the worst of creatures in that sense. But that doesn't mean you are not human. You
Just
are as a
remember when you
human.
got one
worse of
finger,
the
when you
creatures.
got one finger pointing at everybody else, you got three more pointing back at yourself.
Okay.
Buddy.
Well, I
Not a
appreciate your
problem.
honesty on that. I appreciate your honesty on that, Abbas, because
Uh,
I would agree
So
with
can
you
the
you
don't.
fact
stand
that's
I
corrected,
just explained to
Yahya?
you.
that's wrong.
Can you stand
I
corrected?
explain wisdom of God to you. That's what the
Yahya,
wisdom of
can
God
and
you
is.
stand
I get
corrected
that.
by
Wisdom
what
of
Abbas
Allah.
said? Yahya, can you stand corrected by what Abbas said?
I agree with him because God, this is what God does. He sent messenger and prophet, and all of them they teach the Lord our God is unseen and one. And you guys go and worship the mediator, Jesus, who come to the lordship of Israel. And I don't see the link when you squeeze yourself with the Jew, even as Jesus choose the Jew to call the Jew only children. You don't see that only children the Jew, while he called everybody else like Smartian and Gentiles dogs and swine and slaves to their masters, which you find me offensive, but this is the fact.
This is what your God says,
So,
because he is
So we're
offensive.
less than animals, Yahya,
so,
when
so
Abbas
Yahya,
is correcting
Yahya,
you.
Yahya, help me out here, brother.
Look,
Yahya,
I am the
help me out.
animal, and you are the best of the creation. Are you happy now?
Yahya, help me out here. Help me out here. Is H2O water or is it hydrogen in 2 parts oxygen?
What does that
Seriously.
matter? I don't know.
I mean,
Why does it
because
matter?
a lot of people call it water, and other people, I mean, everybody just calls it that one thing, water, but it's made up of 3 parts. So how can that be, according to your own logic?
Right.
That's impossible, dude.
Dude,
It can't be.
Dude, let me explain
Water
to
can't be. Water can't be like that.
So God is sometimes evaporate, sometimes can be seen, and sometimes he freeze. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
wow.
Jesus, like
How
Jesus
about
was
that?
seen. Like Jesus
Wow.
was seen.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Abbas. You just made
one
John
Thank
second.
1:1.
Let's
Thank you.
okay, guys,
Wow.
we're gonna
This
wrap
is
it up
why
for the
I
day.
always ask if it's possible to do a session and debate about the nature of God against the nature of Jesus, and we will talk what God nature and how Jesus nature comparing with God. Nature of God. Whenever you are ready,
Yeah, according to the Bible.
Look me up
According to the
look me
Bible.
up on Facebook. Look me up on Facebook, and I'm ready to
I
discuss
don't
it.
need you on Facebook. I don't need anybody.
Okay.
All right, I'll get you. Okay, George.
You know,
George, I tell you what,
Skype,
George.
my
George,
Skype,
I tell you
my
what. Hold on,
Skype
hold on. George, I'll go ahead and I'll get your email. I'll get Yaya's email, and I'll put you guys into contact with you.
Is it
That's what I do here. I build bridges here.
Yes, he does.
Okay, what I wanted to point out here, where we were talking about the Allah from the Quran and what he thinks of as being the worst of the creatures. I just want to remind you of what Romans, the book of Romans, chapter 5, verse 8. It says, "But God commanded His love towards us
10 seconds
in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." John 3:16, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life." So when we start comparing the God of the Bible and His love to all mankind, regardless of whether they're in sin or rebellion at that time, He still sent His Son, Jesus Christ, to save us from those sins. And it's His sacrificial atonement and His atonement for our sins only that saves us from that eternity of damnation that we all rightly so do fear. Okay, so we're going to call it a day. I'm going to go crawl back into my recliner and go back to sleep, because this I am not. You guys wore me out, but I appreciate the lively interaction today and the way that we treat each other and speak of each other. I think we need to be more aware of the respect that we can have with one another, even though we disagree with one another. We can have dialogues, and I think we did a good job of that today. So I'm gonna call her quits for the day. Well, I tell you what. Let's go around the horn and see if they have anything to say. Let's start with Dr. Isa Kabir. Do you have anything that you want to add today, Isa?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Well, I always appreciate the discussion. That's weird. I think there's some echo. I think it's important to discuss all these elements, and I think we need to be really transparent and open about all of it. So I think that, the brother Yahya made an important point. He was talking about issues that are engaged in the world that are happening, particularly in that region. And I think it's important to recognize that we should recognize all human suffering. It doesn't matter who it is. We need to recognize all of it. And that's very important. And we need to also be open where all the suffering is. We can't just look at Israel and say, look how horrible Israel is, without engaging places like Pakistan, without engaging places like Egypt, without engaging places, even the stuff that's going on within the United States. We have to engage all of it. If we're going to be fair and valid for human rights and care about the human rights for all, then we need to be open and transparent of all human rights transgressions. That's the point that I think we need to, that's the point I would like to end on and consider.
All right. So can I say like kumbaya, and that would go along with all that which you said, Isa?
Peace, dude.
Yeah, I don't want to start humming a tune here. All right. Ed, do you have anything to add for today? Would you like to add anything today?
Well, no, just mainly that always remember that Allah and Muhammad confirmed the Torah and the gospel. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ed. Boss, would you like to have any last parting words for us?
Well, I was thinking what to say.
On here today.
Not a problem anytime. I was thinking what to say, but Brother Ed gives me an opportunity to say that Allah never says that Allah has confirmed all the Torah and Injil. Actually, Allah refute many a times in the Quran. Quran actually refutes it. You totally misunderstood it. So we can talk about it some other day. It's a detailed topic, and I can show you how many times Quran refute Torah and Injil. So you need to understand, as the sister said earlier, you need to understand the scripture intertextually, the whole what scripture message is. And if you read the Quran properly, intertextually, you see Quran reject Torah and Injil wherever it is corrupted. Actually, only one verse of the Quran reject thousands of verses in the Bible, which Allah say Allah is Father to no one. Bible is full of saying God the Father, God the Father, God the Father. So one verse reject all the thousands of verses which says that. So Quran refute and reject Torah and Injil, and I can prove it to you some other day, inshallah.
Okay, thank you. How about Kufar phobia, the doctor of disaster?
That's right. They call me dissecting Islam. Good to see everybody. Don't forget, Yahya is supposed to debate me on is Islam true or false? I'm waiting for that. Yahya, don't forget.
Okay.
That's it. And take some NyQuil.
I've been riding the green genie for 2 days, to be honest with you. I'm going to do it as soon as we get. Well, I wanted to go to Chris's live stream tonight, so I might hold off on that. We'll see.
And
all right,
yeah.
Did you have?
I was just going to say, and thank you for proving that the translations of the Quran are incorrect and lies. Thank you, Abbas.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any last words?
Yes.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Not too many now. You get
yeah.
723. You better hurry.
I invite all of you to accept the creator of all the universe, the maker of a universe, whom will accept your repentance without shed of any blood, as long as you come to him with sincerity and obedience. Allah the most merciful and Allah the just, whom would not kill his son for the love of somebody else, but he will treat you all equal. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Dominic, are you listening?
I would say that we've proved the point that Islamic is anti-Semitic just by the last quotes that we've kind of heard here, because that was the subject that was the main subject that was brought up. We also proved the fact that Ishmael has no link to Muhammad or things like that. There was no evidence that was given for that subject. So also when we were dealing with the aspect of God, and the thing is, if we were dealing with the aspect of the Trinity and stuff, that's a completely other red herring that was kind of brought up in the fact of the debate that was brought up, because it's not the main subject that was here. So the thing is also the fact that you're using our Bible to prove the fact that the Muhammad, the so-called corrupted Bible, to prove the fact that Ishmael was linked to
How funny you are, man.
That Ishmael was linked to Muhammad.
How nice.
So the thing is, you also didn't prove any archaeological evidence that the Philistines are linked to Muhammad at all. There was no archaeological evidence regarding that subject. And the thing is, when we're talking about the thing is all you have is ad hominem attacks, and we know as well that Jesus loves you, Yahya, and Jesus loves you, Abbas, and he died on the cross for your sins.
Amen.
And the thing is, we know that our creator is the creator of the universe, because the thing is we have evidence for it. And the thing is, where's your evidence? Yeah, where's your evidence? Okay.
Genesis 1:1.
Backbone.
All right, thank you, Dominic. All right, let's go to George. George, sir.
Yes, thank you very
waiting
much.
patiently.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, I want to make this clear to everyone, not just the Muslims. We believe Jesus. We believe him. We believe his words. Matthew 24, verse 35. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words shall never pass away. What are his words? I am the Son of God. I came to die for sin. False prophets will arise, and false prophets will deceive many. That might. False prophets will come, and false prophets will deceive many. And I'm saying to you that there are many people, not just Muslims, many people who are deceived by false prophets. We believe Jesus. We follow his words because we know that what he says is true. It is active in our lives and it's confirmed by all the scriptures. Jesus is the center of all scripture, not Muhammad. Jesus Christ is the center of all scripture.
Amen. Amen, George. Thank you. All right, Sister Connie.
I'm good. That's it.
No parting words.
That was beautiful.
Wow. All right, Paul, any parting words that you like to?
I just want to read to you one verse, one part of a verse from the Quran. It says, this is from Surah 4, 171. And this is Usama's translation.
Not 3.
Praise be to him that there would be to him a son. You know what it says just before that? Surely Allah is only one God. So thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.
Isn't that say not 3 or is that 174 where it says say not 3?
No, it's Surah 4, 171. It says, surely Allah is only one God. Praise be to him. That there would be to him a son.
Okay. Well, there you go. All right. Again, thank you everybody for coming today. It's been kind of it's actually been a really fun day having this great interaction today. We will be back here on Tuesday evening. Not sure what the topic's going to be, but we will be here at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you want to come to the show, do not be late. And I'll be sending out on Facebook the top. I'll probably build something for y'all tomorrow and get it out. And hope to see you then. God bless everybody. We'll see you Tuesday.
Get some rest.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Plan to.